There's one school of thought says, Lord, do in me what you need to do so you can do through me what you want to do. Many of you haven't learned that you were not just born for yourself. You were born because God birthed you so you can be a blessing to somebody else. Part of your maturing process in life as a Christian is learning how to deal with a dark time, a depressing time, a discouraging time in your life. And all of us have had them. From the pastor, the pulpit, to the back door, all of us, if you tell the truth, we've had some dark, discouraging times. But it's frustrating, child of God, when the time moves on and you find out that you made a decision that won't move. It's frustrating when we faltered, failed, been foolish, and been forsaken. And sometimes we get to a place that we feel like we're beyond repair. Well, if that's you today, hang around David's story. Because the backdrop of David's experience in this cave is really found in Psalms 57 and Psalms 142. David's band was small and he was despised, but to them he needed to be reminded that even though the kingdom is against me, I have a kingdom that's for me. Please understand, child of God, this period of persecution in David's life, it was part of his preparation for the throne. And can I suggest to you, child of God, everything that you go through in life, sometimes it's satanic and sometimes it's sovereign. You need to know that God is preparing you for a greater position. But you got to protect that preparation process, because some of you take matters into your own hands during that process. And you need to remember, as you study this passage, if you haven't already gained some familiarity with David's story, he was already a great soldier, but now he needed to suffer strategically in the wilderness, because remember, God was trying to teach him in the wilderness how not to trust men, but to trust God. Because the point is, on your journey, many of you have become too trusting of humans, and you forgot that heaven is the only one that can be trusted in a good time and on a bad day. And I know that you have people that you can bend their ear in the time of storm, but I came to tell you, God will strategically put you in places in a wilderness experience to where everything is dry, where there's no dew, there's no water, there's no provisions, there's no nothing, to where you'll learn that life is not just about trusting people, but life is about trusting God. So look at David's story, child of God. Let's unpack this story, because it is here in this wilderness that it seems that he's hanging on a cliff. He's at the end of his rope. It seems that his life is getting ready to draw to a close. He's in a place to where his back is up against the wall. He's stuck in a corner, and it seems that his prayers won't exceed the ceiling. Have you ever been there to where it seems that you're stuck in a corner, your prayers aren't being heard, your back is against the wall? I'll ask you again, have you ever been there to where it seems that your back is against the wall, you're stuck in a corner, and your prayers won't exceed the ceiling? This is where David is, but David decides that this time I'm going to run again. I need to stop long enough to tell you, child of God, that you're going to get to an age and you're going to get to a time in your life to where running is no longer an option, because God will fix it that the person you're trying to run from, you'll be the right person that you run into. Many of you, you're on a course running from yourself, but could it be that God is trying to get you to finally see yourself? This cave was a transitional point in his life, and sometimes, child of God, you need to remember that episodes in life can be methods of transition. He cries from this cave. Gad was his guide. David had to leave his castle. Watch this. He leaves a castle and go to a cave. What a dangerous thing. I leave from a good place to go to a place where there's nothing. I leave a place where I got everything and go to a place where it looks like it's nothing. But here it is, child of God. it looks like it's a restricted place, but God turns it into a restoring place. Because remember, David wasn't trying to die, he was trying to live. Can I stop long enough to talk to somebody here that the truth of the matter is people don't understand your methods because they think you're trying to die. In reality, your mindset, and because of your attitude and your actions and because of where you are spiritually, you're not trying to die, you're trying to live, but you're just going by it the wrong way. So David decides that he's going to turn his class into he's going to turn his cave into a classroom, and then he turns his classroom into a cathedral. David has church in an empty cave. Can I stop long enough to tell you some of the greatest worship experiences can be in a dry place? Oh, child of God, if you haven't gotten there yet, keep living. Maybe you will grow up and get to that place at one of these points in your life. The greatest times are not when you have church at a church. The greatest times is when you are in a cave and you learn how to transition your cave into a cathedral. I can have church in the doctor's office. I can have church even in a courtroom. I can have church even in a bank where I don't have no money. I can have church even at home when everything is going against me. Am I preaching to anybody in this room today that has learned how to transition your cave into a cathedral? I can have church anywhere. I don't just have to be at 1862 Noble Road. I've learned that wherever I am, I can invoke and invite the presence of God, and I let him have his way even in a dry place. Oh, child of God, then theologically, then I'll give you 2 or 3 things about this and then we're done. Theologically, Saul's persecution of David is really an illustration of the conflict between the flesh and the spirit. You need to know there's a war going on. Right now, there's a war going on in your members. The flesh battles against your spirit. The flesh is battling on the inside against your spirit. The spirit is saying, don't do that, but the flesh says, have your way. Spirit says no, but the flesh says, oh yes, yes. And sometimes, child of God, you need to learn that it's not the devil. You need to take control of you. God gives you a will to make decisions. And then your question is, well, God, if you don't want me to do this or that, if you don't want me to go here or there, then God, why didn't you stop it? He says, because I give you a will to make decisions. Y'all too quiet about this. And many of you right now would be further along in life and have a better life if you had just listened to the Holy Spirit. Theologically, it's also a picture of Satan's persecution of the church. Remember, child of God, as you study this passage, Saul was not the king, but yet he was reigning. David was the king, and he's running. Let me help you out for what you pay me for again. Here it is. Saul was not the king, but he's reigning. David was the king, but he's running. You still don't have it. Okay. How much time I got? Okay, let me rush on. Saul was not the king, but he's reigning. He's ruling. David was the king, he's running. Who am I talking to in here? You got position. God has given you power, but you letting Satan rule while you run. Are y'all gonna help me think through this passage? Huh? You declare that God has given me this home, this job, he's given me this business, he's given me this family, he's given me this or that, and yet you have the position and running. And you're letting Satan make decisions, and he don't have the position. And you wonder why life is going in an opposite direction. It's because God is saying you're not maximizing the position. He says, I didn't build you to run. You have a name that will make Satan run. And that's why I hang my hat today. I'll stop. I got more to say in the introduction, but I'll park right there. I'll park there. That's he's reigning while the one who has the position is running. If you're going to get you together, if it's going to come together for you, the first thing you have to do, child of God, you have to acknowledge your innervated spirit. You have to acknowledge your innervated spirit. That word innervated literally means to be drained of energy and vitality. You got to realize you can't keep running outwardly on what you've run out of inwardly. I can't hear so well in here. You got to realize when your spirit's not right. You got to realize when Satan is after you, he's trying to drain your mind. He's trying to drain your heart. He's trying to drain your passion from God. You got to realize when the spiritual you is no longer spiritual. But the thing is, it's easy to evaluate somebody else, but it becomes a struggle when you can't see you. It's easy for you to say, oh, I can see straight through so-and-so, but you can't see yourself. It's easy for you to say, oh, I can see a jokester coming 10 miles away, but you can't see you right in your own face. You got to acknowledge your innervated spirit. I'm not making it up. The text says, David therefore departed and he escaped to the cave of Adullam. He's running. Could it be in your life that something is missing that had you moving? It's a dangerous time because it is in that time that your inner negotiator, when it's disgruntled and misled by emotions, that negotiator pull you down a dark path. And you start making life-changing decisions that affect your destiny, and you start living the I had it all, but I lost it all. Who in here that can go ahead and confess that it wasn't the devil, it wasn't my family, it wasn't my friends, wasn't even my enemies. I had it all, but that I in me caused me to lose it all. Am I talking to anybody in here? I thought I said something. I thought it sounded nice to me. I mean, I can't be your judge for you. I thought it sounded good. That's where some of you are right now. You had a good job, had a good life, had a good relationship, had a good savings account, but that you got to acknowledge that, hey, you in there. I'm talking to you not about what others see. I'm talking to you about what I know. You in there. Hey. But his life at the bottom that taught him how to now rise to the top. David is now Watch this. He's completely separated from Saul's court. He's considered an outlaw and a rebel. That's a good place to be when everybody's against you. Many of you think that life is good when everybody's good around you. Many of you think that you're in the place of God because everybody around you likes you. But that wasn't even the ministry of Jesus. Come on, I'm just talking Bible. I can't hear y'all. He had a doubter, a trickster, one that was going to sell him out right around him, one that was going to deny him right around him, and yet he kept on going forward. Because he teaches us how to walk with enemies around your environment and still progress. Because many of you are depressed. Nobody likes me. Nobody wants me. It's all right. David says the best place to be is when you are an outlaw, an outcast. And when you acknowledge you have an innovative spirit, first thing you need to do is focus on the sovereign. You see, he moves from a place of refuge to a person as his refuge. He reaffixes his focus on God. He says, God, why am I running when you've been defending me? What is wrong with me? Why am I running? And many of you have started losing faith because you have a fixation on what's broken around you. There's more to life than what's broke. You spend your whole day communicating about what's broken instead of celebrating about what's together. You've forgotten that God is sovereign. God can still hold you together even when everything around you has been broken down. God says sometimes you need to run to a place that you've run out so you can finally know that I'm still running things. That's life's lesson. That's all I came to tell you today. When you run to places where you have run out and things have run out, God shows you I'm still running this thing. Tell somebody, God is still running this thing. That ain't the right person. Look at somebody else and tell them you need to focus on God. God is still running this thing. He's still running your health. He's still running your finances. It's not because you get paid $40, $50 an hour that you're doing what you want to do in life. No, child of God, God can keep you without a dime. Somebody in here can tell you that I didn't have a job for 4 months, 5 months, but God kept my life together, and I came amidst people that thought they were so smart, but they didn't even know I didn't have money, didn't have a job, but God was running my life, and I looked like a millionaire every time I stepped in the door because you couldn't tell. Somebody here, you've been hungry. And folk don't even know it. You run out, but God was running this thing. Huh? Did you hear what I said? I said God was running this thing. I don't want to get stuck there, but you know, God is. When you get to this place to where your spirit is dying, the first thing you have to do, you got to focus on the God that gave it life in the first place. Positions and possessions don't give you life. If I would ask the average one of you, why are you upset with your life? Why you don't like your life? Why are you depressed? The only thing you're going to tell me is I don't have no money. I don't have this. I don't have that. I don't have the car I wanted. I don't have the house I wanted. But life is more than positions and possessions. And your spirit keeps on dying because you're not looking in the right direction. When you have an innovative spirit, first of all, child of God, you have to focus on the psalm. Secondly, it's time to fortify your stand. You got to stop making movements without meaning. Watch David. He's a moving David, and now he becomes a vagabond because of the animosity of Saul against him. He's the best man in Israel that's supposed to protect me. But he forgot that he has a God beyond the government. And some of you have to act out of character